You probably eat bread almost every day, right? A sandwich, toast, a dinner roll. It's just bread. But what if I told you that this humble food, this simple combination of grain and water, is one of the oldest, most revolutionary inventions in human history? That it literally fueled civilizations, sparked empires, and shaped our very world. Get ready, because the secret history of bread is about to blow your mind. How did humanity first discover bread? It probably wasn't some genius baker in a pristine kitchen. It was almost certainly an accident, born from necessity millions of years ago. Imagine this. Our ancient ancestors, long before farming, are gathering wild grains. Maybe some accidental rain mixes with ground grain, forming a crude paste. They toss it onto a hot rock or near a campfire. And bam! They discover something incredible, a cooked, edible, somewhat tasty flatbread. These weren't fluffy loaves. These were tough, simple flatbreads, unleavened, meaning no yeast, so they didn't rise. But this simple act of mixing ground grain with water and cooking, it unlocked a massive new food source, making wild grains palatable and digestible. It was the original easy button for ancient nutrition. The discovery of flatbread was cool, but it was the agricultural revolution around 10,000 years ago that truly made bread king. When humans learned to cultivate grains like wheat and barley, everything changed. Suddenly, they had a reliable, abundant, and storable food source. This allowed for settled communities, population growth, and ultimately, the birth of civilizations. With a steady supply of grain, bread became the central pillar of daily life. It was easy to make, filling, and packed with energy. It became so fundamental that in many ancient cultures, the word for bread was almost synonymous with food itself. It wasn't just sustenance. It was the foundation of an entirely new way of life. But how did bread go from a tough flatbread to the soft, airy loaves we know? For that, we can thank an accidental discovery in ancient Egypt: yeast. The Egyptians were masters of bread and beer. And sometime around 1500 BC, they likely discovered leavened bread by accident. A batch of dough, perhaps left out overnight, caught wild yeast from the air or from a bit of leftover beer. It started to bubble, swell, and rise. The resulting bread, baked in their unique conical ovens, was lighter, fluffier, and more delicious. It was a revelation. This wasn't just an improvement. It was a revolution. Leavened bread became a symbol of Egyptian ingenuity and a prized food. They even had a goddess of grain, Renenutet, often associated with bread. When the Roman Empire rose, bread wasn't just a food. It was a tool of power, a symbol of citizenship, and a massive industry. The Romans inherited bread-making techniques from the Egyptians and Greeks, and they perfected them. In Rome, bread was so important that the government often provided free or subsidized grain and bread to its citizens. The famous bread and circuses policy, designed to keep the populace happy and compliant. Bakeries were everywhere in Roman cities, and bakers were highly respected craftsmen. They produced a huge variety of breads, from simple loaves for the poor to fancy, decorated breads for the wealthy. Bread was the cornerstone of the Roman diet and a key element in maintaining social order. As the Roman Empire declined, so did the widespread art of sophisticated bread making in many parts of Europe. This period saw bread become simpler, darker, and often less refined. During the Middle Ages, particularly for the common folk, bread became largely a rustic, coarse affair, often made from rye or barley, baked in communal ovens. White bread was a luxury reserved for the very wealthy, as it required more processing and finer flour. But even during these so-called Dark Ages, bread remained the absolute staple, the primary source of calories for millions. Its consistent role kept populations alive, even if the quality wasn't always top tier. And eventually, with trade and innovation, the art of refined bread making began its slow revival. While Europe had its wheat and rye, the discovery of the Americas introduced entirely new grains and new forms of bread to the world. In the Americas, long before European contact, civilizations thrived on corn or maize. They created their own incredible flatbreads, like tortillas, by grinding corn and treating it with lime water, a process called nixtamalization, which made the corn more nutritious. Across Asia, rice became the staple for many cultures, leading to a different array of steamed buns and rice-based breads. In parts of Africa, millet and sorghum were common, used for resilient and nutritious breads. The story of bread isn't just about wheat. It's a global tapestry of diverse grains and ingenious preparation methods. Fast forward to the Industrial Revolution, and bread production exploded. It went from artisanal craft to mass-produced staple, making it accessible to everyone. New machinery allowed for faster milling of flour and more efficient mixing and baking. This meant bread could be produced quickly and cheaply, feeding the rapidly growing urban populations of industrial cities. The invention of the steel roller mill in the 19th century made it easier to produce fine, white flour, which quickly became a symbol of purity and status, replacing the darker, coarser breads of previous centuries. Bread was no longer just local. It was becoming a national, then global commodity. For much of the 20th century, white bread reigned supreme. It was a symbol of modernity, hygiene, and affordability. But its popularity came with some surprising downsides. To make flour whiter and extend shelf life, the bran and germ, the most nutritious parts of the grain, were often removed. This stripped bread of much of its fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Diseases related to nutrient deficiencies, like pellagra and beriberi, became more common in populations relying solely on refined white bread. Eventually, governments and health advocates recognized this, leading to the practice of enriching bread by adding vitamins back in. This era highlights how our pursuit of convenience and aesthetics can sometimes lead us away from the core, nutritional benefits that bread historically provided. Today, we're seeing a wonderful bread revival. People are rediscovering the ancient art of baking, moving beyond mass-produced loaves back to our roots. The rise of artisanal bakeries, the sourdough craze, and the interest in heritage grains are all signs of a deep human connection to bread that spans millennia. We're appreciating its flavors, its textures, and its fundamental importance. From an accidental flat disc on a hot stone to the staple that built empires, and now a celebrated craft, bread's journey is truly extraordinary. It's not just food. It's a testament to human ingenuity, survival, and our enduring relationship with the Earth's bounty. Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed uncovering these ancient ways, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Ancient Ways Discovered, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. We'll be diving into more incredible ancient secrets very soon.